Okay, so the episode 6 of The Penguin has been released, called Gold Summit. And once again, we have a story that is drawing all the elements and plots of this show to a close, following 3 individual stories of the 3 main characters, Oz, Sophia, and Victor. The episode starts with a snowy Gotham City, which is very interesting because it might be a hint that the second Batman might take place during a snowy season, which means Christmas time. This is yet to be confirmed, but I do believe that might be the case. And even though no Batman snowy movie will be better than Batman Returns, I think it's an interesting idea. The point of this is to show that there was a time jump from the last episode to this one. It also gives the Penguin the opportunity to wear his cold weather jacket that makes him a little more comic accurate. But this time jump shows that he has grown his business from the last episode to this one, running the production of the drug Bliss very fast to make a widespread distribution in Gotham City. Knowing this, the newfound partners Sofia Falcone and Salvatore Marone start to cause problems to his plans by killing some of the distributors of the drug in the streets, sending a message to the whole gangster mob that if they work with the Penguin, they will suffer the consequences. This causes a war between factions in the city, with the Gigantes on one side and Oswald on the other. And this is a problem that the character Penguin has. Not a problem of the show, but the problem of himself as a person. He really underestimates his enemies, just like the Falcones did to him in the beginning of the show. And this will be his greatest mistake because he should have done something about Sofia and Salvatore Marone before, attacked them, something like that, but so far he lets things roll, and this will bite him in the ass very soon. The problem is that the other gangs of Gotham get afraid to make business with him, so he is forced to summon all of them at the end of the episode for a reunion in which he will have to play straight with them. And as we know that Oz has a way with words, he makes an amazing speech for all the mob bosses. Once again with Colin Farrell kicking ass in his acting. And I love the way that he is totally informal in his approach for this meeting, giving everybody beer cans, telling the truth to all of them, and then all the mob bosses snap their beer cans to show that they are in, which the Penguin responds by toasting to the taking back of Gotham. But on the other side, things are not going well with his mother, who is suffering more and more for her mental illness, and there is an interesting dynamic between her, Oz, and Vic, who is basically part of the family now. The boy is basically becoming one of her sons right there, since she doesn't have that anymore in the figure of Oz, and that is clearly bothering him. By the way, there is a very interesting moment during a breakfast scene when Francis mentions the name Rex in a delusional conversation with Oz and Vic. And this kinda gives a hint that Rex Calabrese, the gangster that the Penguin mentioned in the beginning of the show, could be actually his father, something that he didn't reveal in his story about the guy. And then we have this very tough scene to watch, at least to anybody who has had an ill family member in their families. That is the scene that Oz has to help his mother to get out of the bathtub because she is having difficulties to do it. And to make matters worse, she gives an order to him that if one day she loses complete consciousness and becomes a vegetable, he must kill her. And like I said, it's a very tough scene to watch. And then it is followed by this moment where Oz puts some makeup on her, trying to make her feel better. And it's a very kind and delicate scene, which again gives much more layers to this character of Oz than I could ever expect to receive. Yes, guys, this is a real TV show here, multi-layered and very deep in all its characters. To finish Oz's plot in this episode, we also have him approaching a senator in a parking lot and torturing the guy in a very brutal way with a plier to the guy's nose in order to force him to return the energy to the Crown Point area, which is the neighborhood that Oz's mother is living in. Which works because in the end, the whole energy of the neighborhood comes back And finally, Oz's mother and Victor can get a little heat in their apartment. Speaking about Victor going to his plot, there is a guy in the neighborhood that is old acquaintances with him called Squid, a tough little criminal that is trying to get into Oz's business and join the whole gang. And he starts to threat Victor to help him do so. Victor, as this kid who tries to de-escalate the situations before having to take other measures, tries to give him some money and say that he won't be able to put him in the gang for now, but Squid doesn't want to know. And by the way, Squid is a name of another character from Batman the Animated Series, Sid the Squid. Just a little trivia, from the great episode The Man Who Killed Batman, which I have a commentary right here in the channel. If you want to watch it, please check it out. But the whole Squid situation forces Victor to take a very drastic measure, to shoot Squid dead right there. And this is a very strong scene, which also shows that Victor is not a killer, and this shakes him to the core, because it was the last thing that he wanted to do, even though now there's no turning back. Now he is able to do something so horrible like this. He is totally into this criminal life. And this also takes us to this tender but very dark moment between him and Oz, which the villain comforts him by saying, "It will get better," which means you will kill much more, and one day you will not care anymore. Very, very dark. And going to the final piece of the puzzle, we have Sofia Falcone, and her first scene in this episode is a very strange one, which shows that she's having a relationship with Dr. Julian Rush, making him her sex slave? Maybe? Nothing very gratuitous is shown here, but I don't know, it's a kind of unnecessary scene. At the same time that this character, Julian Rush, is very unnecessary until now in the show. His participation has been very meaningless, even though I believe he will get something to do in the next 2 final episodes. Many people believe the rumor that he will become some version of the Scarecrow, and please don't. Just don't do that. But then we have the scene that shows another bonding, this time much more interesting between Sofia and Salvatore Maroni, a kind of father-daughter relationship that she never had with her real father. And this is an interesting plot, even though the whole presence of Maroni in this story is kind of bothering me a little. Again, I will nitpick, but I have to go back to the whole, where the hell is Batman in this whole situation? Or where is the Gotham PD in this situation? This is a man who escaped Blackgate Prison in the last episode, and there's no news about the cops being after him in the TV. Where the hell is Commissioner Gordon or Lieutenant Gordon in this version? I truly hope they have a good reason for these characters to not be here, or at least for Batman not to be looming over this whole situation when the second movie comes up. Because I know Gotham is a place controlled by the gangs, but come on, somebody must be looking into this whole gang war and doing something about it. The whole idea of turning the blind eye to this whole aspect of the universe, it is bothering me, I have to be honest. It's a great show, but I don't buy that. Anyway, the new duo of criminals, Sofia and Maroni, starts to gather pieces or clues of where Oz might be. They go to his old apartment and find a picture of Eve Carlo, the kinda girlfriend of Oz in the show. And this takes us to one very good scene in the episode, that is Sofia going to the apartment of Eve and they having a conversation about where Oz is, with Sofia pointing a gun to the woman all the time. And before I forget to mention, let me just say that Sofia Falcone is super cute in the show right now with her hairstyle and gothic look. Everybody agrees with me, come on. But the scene is great because it shows a little mutual respect between the two women once Sofia discovers that Eve has a strong bond with her family that are basically the girls that work for her, something that she never had before, so it would be cruel and unfair to kill Eve just because of a prick like Oz. Plus, the two women finally see eye to eye regarding the whole hangman situation, which Sofia explains that her father was the real killer, and then when Eve reveals that Penguin never told her that, always leaving her in the dark, which makes the woman to reveal the location of Oz in the neighborhood of Crown Point, which takes us to the great final scene, which we have the whole energy being restored in Crown Point, like I said before, and then we have this kind moment between Francis and Vic, where the woman wakes up and the boy and her start to dance in the apartment, just having a little bit of fun moment, and then who suddenly appears to watch the moment in secret like a ghost haunting, having a crowbar in her hands? Sofia Falcone. What a fantastic ending, which takes us to a very crucial moment now in the show, where we're finally gonna have a resolution of all this war. By the way, a crowbar, everybody remembers the reference in the comics to this moment, right? So, interesting. And this was the episode 6 of The Penguin. I, once again, loved this episode, and I'm still very into the show. I'm just a little bothered about the whole logic of Batman in this universe, and I think I miss him a little, or at least his shadow overlooking the whole thing. But anyway, let's see what happens in the next 2 episodes, alright? This is it for now. If you are liking the content of BATGUS as usual, don't forget to leave your like here in this video and also subscribe to the channel so we can keep talking about Batman and the DC Universe in the future, alright? See you in the next Bat video, and bye-bye.